All right. You
I
are
forget
now
Nicole. Do we
recorded.
do Nicole?
Nicole, we haven't heard from you. Are you okay?
Here I am.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm fine. I'm just Nicole, Laura's right hand lady, I guess. So I'll just co-sign on everything she said. But thank you for asking. It's me. I'm here.
Thank you, Carrie. A few of us met virtually to talk about the June street dance. What's the Summer Suite, Main Street, Summer Suite, whatever it's called, and just decided life was too uncertain. And so we are going to put that on the calendar for June of 22. A nonprofit sponsored uh, one-day event, street dance, car show on the longest weekend of the year, the longest day of the year. So it's that same weekend in June, tentatively. So it just, life is not open enough yet. I think we're all.
Well, keep in mind when that time comes, our facilities manager, Jeff Wellcamp, ran this show for Jeffersontown Christian Church and loved it. And they did it for years and it was a fundraiser. So he would love very much to be involved.
Tell him he is in charge. And I guarantee you, sister has a mind like a steel trap. And she smells fresh meat better than anybody I know. And I'm sure that he will be front and center with that.
All right, he's a sweetheart. So yeah.
But we probably do need to start this June planning for next June because it's going to end up being a bigger deal than we think.
Yeah.
Than any of us think putting together. And we're starting to work on Middletown Festival, our church involvement. Of course, that's on our parking lot. So it's easier for us to be connected. So we are going to do that. Well, let's shift gears. We said we were going to talk about fundraising in the COVID era. And I'll say this, that we have a virtual trivia night on the calendar for April 24th. And we're patterning ours after one at Broadway Baptist Church. And the way they did fundraising was you just made a donation of whatever amount you wanted. There were no door prizes, no baskets to bid on. It was just it was a Zoom trivia. The trivia master or the Zoom master put everybody into their groups after they got their questions. It was pretty much a fun thing, and they made, I don't know, $3,000 or $4,000. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to be working on a church Venmo account for younger people who don't know how to use an online giving portal and who don't know how to write a check and don't have any cash and aren't going to drop it by the church. So my thing today is to work on establishing a commercial Venmo account. That's kind of fun. I have a Venmo debit card and there's $0.00 in my Venmo account, but I have a debit card. If one of you would Venmo me money, I would have money on my debit card. So that's what we're doing, but I'm learning from you all. So who's had some experience in online fundraising? And Carrie, don't you have an event coming up?
We have one coming up, but no experience yet. So
well, tell us how you're doing it. I know you're using some kind of agency. What are you doing?
yeah, there's a group out of Florida called AmFund, and they work all over the country. And what they do, and I don't really understand how this fundraising voodoo works, but they provide us at no cost trips that our donors and attendees can bid on. And there's no penalty. So they bring 6 or 7 trips, and if no one bids on them, that's fine. We don't pay anything. We're not out anything. If somebody does bid on it, the bidding starts at $500 above their cost, or probably not their cost, but whatever their baseline is. And then, so if only one person bids on it, we know we're guaranteed $500 from each trip.
And do you make anything above their baseline?
We make anything above, so it's not a percentage. It's so if someone else bids and it's $550 more, then we get $550. We've done it, this will be our 4th year. Because I think we've done it we've had them at our spring event 3 times in person. What I'm very interested, and we've always sold at least one, usually between 2 and 3. One time as many as 4. But I've had people who couldn't come to the event or frankly didn't want to come to the event say, oh, I wish I could bid on these trips remotely or virtually. And so what we're interested now is to see is that really true? You know, we can send this out to all of our donors, to our entire e-news list, which is about 600 to 700 emails. Will people really be interested in bidding on these trips since they don't have to be anywhere in person? And we're just hoping that people are getting vaccinated and they do have an appetite to travel. They're pricey trips. They're anywhere between $3,000 and $8,000, but they're airfares included. It's for 2 people. You have up to 3 years to travel. So if you're going to plunk down $7,500 on a trip to Greece, this is a good way to do it. And EACM gets $500 out of it, or potentially more if people bid on it.
The price locked in for 3 years?
Yes. Yes. And then we're going to have 10 other items that are going to also be bid on that are going to be more like $250 to $1,000 range. So we can feel like we're including as many of our donors as possible who might want to participate in the auction experience. And then of course you can just give. There's always the opportunity just to give us money. Let me tell you about the website that I'm using for the other items, because as you all can imagine, sometimes you're just desperate and you type in, into the Google machine, how do I get auction items? And so sorry, this is taking me a second. 2021 spring fundraiser. So there's a website called, and maybe you guys already know about this. Whoops.
Carrie, you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
I just gave you permission.
Okay, let me find, where is my 2021 spring? That's so weird. What just happened? Okay, maybe go to someone else and then I'll be back.
Joni, I think you have done some things, haven't you?
Yeah, we did an online auction. I think it was in November. It was between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Maybe it was in November. We were pretty successful. We raised several $1,000s, I think $3,000. We did, I think we had about 40 items. We used a company called 32auctions.com, and I really liked that platform. It was reasonable. The expenses, there's a fee to buy the software. It was not ridiculous. And then of course it's the typical 2-3% credit card usage fee. And so, I mean, I really liked it. You could buy different 32 auctions. You could buy different, options as far as what program you were buying. Either you could buy one where you limited the ads, and we did that. You can start off as free. Anyway, I liked that. We'll probably do another one in the fall, also online. And right now we're doing we're planning for a 50-50 pot raffle. We have we got our gaming license for that one-time event, but that we'll have a 5-week period where that's open starting in April, and then we'll have the drawing on May 7th, I believe. We're also using separate software for that. It's a one-time fee. That software is Chance to Win, chancetowin.org. And that, and I would be really interested in hearing what other people have used for online platforms, because what I found is that, I look at the back end whenever I see like Presentation High School or Habitat for Humanity have a fundraiser online. I look at the back end of like what's running this, and so I've explored a few of them, including one that St. John's Center downtown used, and they seem to be incredibly expensive. I mean, thousands of dollars. And I don't know if that's because it's sort of more than we would need, but um, so I found that for 32 auctions and then for this chance to win, I'm just treating it as like temporary one time. This is COVID fundraising instead of this enormous platform that is between $3,000 and $7,000 that other organizations are able to buy. So
Lisa, what are you guys doing with Habitat?
Yeah, so we did a virtual event in October, annual fundraiser, and we did totally virtual. We used, it's the old Bid Pal. They were bought by One Cause. So we did pay them a nice chunk of change. It enabled, you could do a raffle, you could do an auction. It was also helped with the streaming of the event, and you could take donations. We were concerned our website couldn't handle 200 people donating at the same time, that it would crash. So that was one of the reasons we went with one. I will tell you it's expensive. That part's expensive. We had to get our usual audio visual company had to come in with way more equipment than what we would have done for a live event. We had to have cameras, and I think they had 3 laptops there and a floor director, and it was a lot. It was every bit as much work as a live event. You just didn't have a bunch of people you had to be nice to that night. You just had a handful of people here that we had to be nice to. But it was a good event. We raised every bit as much as we would in-house. We're planning this year's event. Several board members are wanting us to do a hybrid, which in looking at it, it'll double our cost, because we will need everything we needed last year in audiovisual equipment, plus the tables, the chairs, the linens, the food, all of that you do normally in-house. So staff here, we're not real excited about hybrid. We think by October, people will be willing to come back in person, and we could do a video that we send out to the folks that aren't comfortable with a link to donate. But that decision has not been 100% made yet. So I'd love to know if anybody's doing hybrid, what might be working for you.
The question I have for all 3 of you, is this like an auction is up for a week? Or is this like a 3-hour event?
ours was up for a couple weeks, and maybe even as long as a month, like maybe 3 weeks to a month. So it wasn't live, it was ongoing. People could bid at any time during that time period.
Lisa, am I reading that yours was a limited 3-hour event kind of a thing?
It was, and we do a bourbon wall every year. So that was like a raffle, sold out in 20 minutes. So that was very popular. And then the only other thing, we just did one item. We had a stock the bar, a bourbon barrel and some other stuff. And so we just had a matter of fact, it was up for 30 minutes during the live event and brought a couple $1,000 and we were happy. So we do not do a huge auction. We don't charge for the event. So, we make a pretty strong ask, and that's just people write the checks or make the credit card donation, and that way.
Carrie, how are you going to do yours? Is it going to be up for a couple of weeks or?
We're right in the middle. So ours is going to be up Wednesday to Saturday, but we won't have any live component. I've already taped my spiel and it's already up on YouTube actually. And so it's purely virtual in that sense. I did find this website. So let me share my screen here real fast. This is the website and it's called travelpledge.com. And as you can see here, I've chosen, these are the 6 items that we're going to have available on our auction. This one is, starts at 500. This one starts at 450. This one is 6,000, but it sleeps 25. I was like, what the hell? We'll just put it on there and see what happens. Because again, if they don't sell, there's no penalty. It's really just a clearinghouse for auction items. And I have a sneaking suspicion. And so if you want to add more experiences, if you want to search, and they have like Glen Oaks and Wildwood, but my experience is anybody can play there anyway, so they don't really go very well. But if you didn't have an organization like AmFund that you're working with and you wanted to do, some fancier trips, they have Cancun, Tuscany, Nova Scotia. And again, you just choose them for your auction. And if they don't get bid on, they just go away. I think this is where auction procurement is going. I think companies are just getting too tired of being asked. And so now they're just telling these warehouse companies, this is what we're willing to offer and how many of them we're willing to offer. And you do all the work and you just tell us when we have to pony up. But all you have to do is sign up for it. Give your tax ID number and you're good to go.
Who else has had experience with these kind of things?
I was going to say, we just had an online auction. We used a software called Bidding for Good, and we had it opened up for a week. And I think we raised about almost $4,000.
And it was an auction, Tanya?
Yes, we had a virtual auction.
And what
I
kind
think it
of
went
items?
from Sunday to Friday.
What kind of items did you have?
We had a variety of things, like we'd have gift baskets for things or gift cards to restaurants. There was one for a massage. Trying to think, we still have some artwork left. We had some artwork that we sold. Trying to think of all the different
They were
items.
things you all had collected?
Yes, items we had collected. We were supposed to do it last year, but due to COVID, we ended up having to reschedule. So we just decided to go ahead and do the virtual auction. It was something our board wanted us to do, and go ahead and do this month.
Are you all getting auction items from anywhere else besides travel companies?
We, like I said, we got several restaurants have donated gift cards to us. We had a place, I'm trying to think of the name of it, that donated a 1-hour massage. Just a variety of things. We had several prints, some artwork that one of our volunteers who had passed away a little over a year ago, she had donated, and I think we sold maybe 3 or 4 pieces of our artwork that we had.
Okay. Somebody else, what's your experience?
I'm on the local board of the Jefferson County Louisville Alumni Association of the University of Kentucky. So you've got Louisville and UK all together. But this is the university club here in Jefferson County. And we do banquets for football and basketball each season and bring in the coaches. And we did both of them virtually and made a boatload of ridiculous amount of money because we didn't have to have a luncheon. We had our sponsors, they all came back and paid up at their regular sponsorship rates, but no lunches. I mean, you lose money, you all know, on the dinners and the lunches. You can't charge enough to, you know, if you're selling tickets to a lunch. And we do a silent auction too, usually at one or both. And so we had those available. So actually, in some weird way, if we never go back, we'll come out ahead.
Wow. Is this going to be the new normal, you think?
No, I don't think so.
Think so?
No.
I think what we're thinking of doing is taking a loss on a event in the fall and not doing as much auction stuff. We might do the baskets because people have fun with that. We do it in a raffle way now instead of a bidding way, and have that as more of a fundraising event and see if this works as just it's not costing us anything. AmFund creates the platform. This is costing us $0 to put on except my time. So if it raises $5,000, that's just $5,000 in the pocket. But still do not try to, because for me, it's about the procurement. The procurement is just getting too hard. For tangible items like bicycles or TVs or appliances, it's just getting really challenging. It's so competitive now.
Tell me about that. Is it challenging because so many people are asking, or businesses are hesitant to give, or all of that?
I think there's just so many. We have such an overabundance per capita of nonprofits. Plus the schools are now doing it. Then you've got the schools, and then you've got the sports teams in the schools. And it's just, it's super challenging. And, you know, not to put the Middletown businesses on the spot, but, you know, they've got the Eastern marching band and the high school and the track team. And, you know, it's just really competitive. I'd much rather ask somebody for $1,000, to be honest, than put on a fundraiser.
I have to agree, Carrie. I think it's I think that not only the procurement, and Jim, I just shared with you our archived auction link, so you can see what we had, but it's also the hand holding. So if you do get people that are donating, you know, they're very wed to that piece of art or that print or whatever. And so there's a lot of facilitation of getting the item and describing it appropriately and making sure that it's well taken care of. And all of that, I think, I mean, there's definitely some PR going on there, but I would not want to do a cost benefit analysis of the auction, because like even for this small online auction where we raised, you know, $3,000, when we talk about staff time, you know, mine and our office manager and you know, our founder coming in and making everything look good, and then the mailing and the thank yous. I mean, we probably really made like $500 to $1,000 when you take the staff time into account. They're fun for the people that are bidding, but it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and you're paying salaries, you're paying wages to employees, so it's costing you something to get them to work.
You're making work.
It's not like you've got a volunteer team necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and don't get me started, but our missions are not to put on fundraisers. That's nowhere within our mission. And so it drives me crazy that that's the way we have to find revenue. So I'm going to write a book about this someday. But I would do anything to get away from fundraising in this manner, this way.
Interesting conversation. Well, Carrie, maybe we need to get you started. Maybe a good rant is what we need to live out for you to voice it for the rest of us. Anybody else reflections on fundraising in the COVID era?
Oh, and don't get me started on sponsorships. Because you know what, Sherry, they all want to sponsor your event because your event is sexy.
I'd like for us to talk about next month's conversation. I am having to bite the bullet and come to grips with the fact that we have got to have a larger social media presence. And I keep saying we need to hire somebody with that in their job description. And I keep getting blank stares back from the powers that be about that. And so I figured out that I am the social media manager. And so I am looking at indexers. I'm playing with Publer. It's out of Albania. And I had an online training with this very nice Albanian young lady who is a social media manager in Albania. But there's a free version, but I think we're going to do the first level upgrade. You can use something called Hootsuite, and you'll spend $600 a year at the first level. Publer for two of us, 5 outlets, 5 media, we'll spend $105. There are some ways to get some discounts. So I'd like for us to talk about that next month. I need somebody who's got experience at indexing across social media platforms. And do you all know what I mean by that? Everybody know that? So Publer, I go into Publer and I create one post and I can schedule it and it'll automatically post across Instagram, Facebook, Indeed, or LinkedIn, Nextdoor. I'm looking at learning how to advertise on Nextdoor. We have a blessings box out on the property and it's out by the playground. And I keep wondering who these people in these big Lexuses are who pull up and put food in the blessings box. I have found out that we're quite a hot topic on Nextdoor. And so this Publer or any of these indexers, you can create one post and it will simultaneously post across all social media that you tell it to. And then it collects the analytics. If you pay for the free account, it doesn't get the analytics, but at the first level of paid, it will collect all the analytics. So I'm seeing how many hits I'm getting on each of the social media platforms. Are any of you all doing that already? Allison, are you?
We used Hootsuite company-wide, and each campus had their own account, and it was very user-friendly and very efficient because just like you're saying, you can put one post out there and you click which accounts you want it to go to. I will say we have since switched to a system called Sprinklr without the E, Sprinklr, Sprinkler. I don't know why. My home office actually is who runs a lot of that for us, but they're both very, very similar, operate very similarly, and it's very efficient.
Could we talk about that next month? Would that interest you all? Because I am not going to go to Instagram, Facebook individually. I'm just not. I am way too old to make that second nature. So, but I might every week take some pictures from, and the other thing I want us to talk about is when you do that, what do you put on social media? Because I think I'm going to be pretty much a hard behind about we're not going to post junk.
Right.
Maybe just, so I'm by next month, I should have my thoughts much more developed. And would that be something y'all would be interested in talking about next month? I'm learning some things from there is a social media affinity group from the chamber. And the church was their case study in the month of February. They spent 2 hours looking at our Facebook stuff and our website. Now being hired. My wife's at, I think you lost my connection. My wife's at Trayton Oak Towers, and they had just hired a guy as their first time ever social media director, full-time, works in the office. You can find him in the senior housing because he's covered with tattoos, and he's 25 years old. He kind of sticks out. And but that's his job, is to publish across these index across these platforms. So I would love to spend some time with that, because Middletown is exploding in population, but the days of a church going door to door are past. Ring doorbell finish that off. By the time you get to the third house, they're waiting for you with the Dobermans to run you back to your car. So I'm having to try to figure out how to do outreach. And I'm told it's through social media, and then it's getting people to comment and share, comment and share, comment and share. Those are the things we've got to train the congregation to do. It's all about algorithms. So by this time next month, I hope to know a little bit more about it. But if we can put that on our topic for next month. John, do you have expertise in this area?
I have a bit. We're not huge in this area, but yeah, we actually do a lot of SEO, and like saying that the publishing across multiple platforms. We actually use a software called HubSpot for it. It's good, but it's pricier than what you're all looking at. Yeah, we've got a fair amount of experience with it, and we do work with a couple of marketing groups.
Could you be prepared to give us a little I don't know, what do you call it, beginner's lesson in publishing across social media?
Yeah, I could do that.
That would be amazing. Great. All right, anything else for the good of the cause? Remember to keep Sister Lorraine in your prayers. Hopefully next month she'll be back with us. Any final word? All right, you all are great. God bless you and what you're doing. You're all doing amazing work. And Lisa, glad you joined us. Don't be a stranger.
Thanks for having me. Good
All
to
right, y'all. Take care.